Yesterday we talked about the chapter 2, and I really emphasized that today we are going to continue with the chapter 2 of our mini book story, A Journey of Courage, Tundu Lissu story. And today we are going to cover chapter 3, The Advocate of the People. When Tundu Lissu returned now to Tanzania after his study abroad, he found a country both familiar and restless. The struggle of his youth had not disappeared. Villages still rested with the poverty, land disputes, and the overreach of those in power. Yet Tanzania was also changing in terms of foreign investors were eyeing its natural resources. And then what is the funny, interesting thing here? The government official often struck deals that left local communities dispossessed. It was in this climate that Lissu stepped, not as a quiet lawyer content with the private practice, but as an advocate for the public good. That was the very key, as an advocate for the public good. So what he did? Here, Lissu joined the Lawyers Environmental Action Team, known as LEAT, a pioneering public interest law organization. At this organization, LEAT, the law was not as an abstract tool. It was a shield for the powerless and a weapon against exploitation. So let's talk about his cases now. His cases often began in the dusty country yards of rural villages. And we know in rural villages in Tanzania, that's where the farmers are. So the farmers would gather to tell stories of how mining companies had seized their land, or how government authorities now in Tanzania had cleared the communities in the name of development. So what Lissu did then? Lissu listened, really listened, and then translated their suffering into the language of law. That's what exactly he did. He filed petitions, challenged contracts, and brought cases that forced powerful corporations in the world and government officials to answer for their actions. One villager will later on now recall, this is what he said. He spoke for us when no one else would. He was not afraid to stand before men in suits and tell them they were wrong. But Lissu's work was not only in a courtroom. He became a teacher, as myself, in the truest sense, explaining to the communities what right they had under Tanzanian law and how those rights could be defended. To him, justice was not something to be handed down from above. It had to be claimed by the people themselves. So what is exactly his advocacy was? His advocacy quickly earned him a reputation, which is bold and compromising and unafraid of confrontation. While many lawyers shied away from cases involving the state or powerful corporation, Lissu leaned into them. And this is some of his characteristics and demeanors: his sharp arguments and refusal to bow down to intimidations set him apart. So let's look now beyond the LEAT, the organizations that Lissu joined back in the days to start doing his work defending the powerless people. He worked also with the World Resource Institute. What is exactly the World Resources Institute does? Bringing international attentions to Tanzania governments of natural resources. He argued that transparency and accountability were not luxuries. They were necessities if Tanzania was to avoid the resource curse that plagued many African nations rich in minerals but poor in justice. It was during these years now that Lissu began to merge the lawyer with the activist. He was not content to win cases quietly. He wanted to change the very culture of the governance. He began authoring articles, delivering lectures, and giving interviews that expose corruption and mismanagement at the highest levels. His pen now, like his voices in a courtroom, was sharp and fearlessly. So what happened by the late 2000s? By that time, it was clear that the courtroom was no longer enough for him. The injustice he fought in the villages were symptoms of deeper political failure. If laws were to serve the people, then the lawmakers themselves now had to be held accountable. And so the advocate began looking forward to becoming a member of the parliament, ready to take his fight into the heart of the Tanzanians' politics. That concludes chapter 3. So the next episode now will cover from the courtroom now to parliament. And I urge all of you to stay tuned. And then I look forward now to cover this the next chapter, chapter 4, from the courtroom to the parliament tomorrow. Take your time. Listen to the chapter 3, a journey of courage, Tundu Lissu's story. This is Dr. Patrick Ngula with American Swahili News and Swahili Villa Online TV. Peace.